get my episode research. I didn't do as much research this time. I must just wing it. I'll be back.
Sure.
Speak into the microphone for me so I can fuck around and find out.
Sure. This is me speaking into the microphone.
Great. You sound good enough to me.
Sounds good.
I sound fine too, maybe.
Except there's an affectation going on.
Shut the fuck up. Hi, Alan. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I love starting the podcast without warning.
Yeah. You really throw me every time.
I know. You'd think after 5 years, you would be
eventually.
used to it.
Well, I feel like there was a hot bit there where I was doing it, and then you really jumped on that train. And I've
stolen several of your ideas at this point.
That's not true.
That's 100% accurate.
Collaborative.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Well, welcome back to the Fic List. Exciting new episode coming to you.
Welcome back. Guess what? We're still not doing the Fic List, guys.
Yeah, it's still, unfortunately, we've not reached a new agreement with the strikes, so we're still strike.
Do you want to try that again, or do you want to keep it?
No, I'm going to stand by it.
Because what I think you meant is we have not reached a new deal with the studios, so we are still striking.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, cool. Rad. Love that for us.
They got what I meant.
Yeah, they did. That's funny. How are you? Before we dive into it, are you okay?
Well, we just had an hour of planning talks before this, and then we had about 45 minutes of technical difficulties. So I'm trying to gain the momentum that was lost.
Yeah,
essentially.
No, we for sure have definitely hit a bit of a wall. That's okay. I think timing of this, we get to talk about what that planning meeting was.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, and maybe we'll get the momentum back. We'll get the juices flowing.
That's true, but you have a lovely outline that I don't want to fuck with.
I do. Fuck the outline. It's fine.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I feel better now that literally, listeners at home, I spent 45 minutes staring dejectedly at our mixer, being like, literally, why isn't this working? I've done everything correctly, and I don't understand. So I turned it off, and I turned it back on again, and then it started half working.
Yeah.
And then I spent another 20 minutes staring at it, being like, there must be a button that I haven't pressed. No, I turned it off and turned it back on a second time, and that solved the problem. So fuck me. Fuck everything.
But was this the better outcome than you finding a button you hadn't pressed? Like, would that have been more infuriating, or is this?
I think this is more infuriating because I did everything right. I'm okay if I'm an idiot. I don't like it when my thing that we spent money on doesn't work.
Let this be a lesson, dear listeners. Sometimes you do everything right, and still, it's not enough.
Yeah, fuck that. I hate that. I recently had a conversation about that with my dad, and he was like, yeah, you've never done well with that. And I was like, I don't need your opinions on this, sir.
Where did you get that I was asking?
Yeah, I was like, I'm 30 full years old, not 13 anymore.
I thought you were about to say 34, and I was like, what?
No, a full 30 years old is what I really should have said for that to make sense, but whatever.
No, you're good.
And I was like, I didn't need you to have any sort of insights into my character, because guess what? It's at least half your fault. So
surprise.
Yeah, shock of all shocks. Anyway, no, I'm good. We were talking a little bit before, because we had 45 minutes to kill while the sound equipment wasn't working. We had a little chatty poo about how we're feeling. And I was like, I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
We're heading into spooky time.
Spooky time.
Spooky season is upon us.
Our strength returns.
Yeah, but also like, wow, I committed to too much. Yeah.
It goes everywhere, that strength, immediately.
Yeah, I love this time of year, but it's the time of year where everyone, in my life, maybe this isn't universal, but everyone in my life wants to do stuff in the fall, because it's finally like kind of cooling off a little bit, and it's like, oh, there's activities and blah, blah, blah. But there's also a big thing coming up for us in about a month and a half at this point.
Oh God, good.
We're gonna keep teasing it until we can talk about it. We're edging you about it. Sorry, I might cut that. But yeah, there's like a bunch of planning that has to go into that, and I'm traveling immediately after that particular thing, which was a bad idea. So yeah, I'm just sort of looking down the barrel of this like really like chaotic couple of months until probably, I would say probably Thanksgiving, and then the Christmas thing is its own barrel of fish.
Right. It's another thing encompassing past the fall.
Christmas for me doesn't tend to be as chaotic because I know what's happening. It's just like, all right, I just got to make sure that I buy the shit in time and then drive to my aunt's house and it's fine. Like, it's really not as complicated.
Yeah.
The fall, there's just a lot of moving parts.
That makes sense. There's more brain power going to like, how do I make it all fit and how do I not burn out?
Right. Yeah. And I'm not succeeding at the don't burn out part.
But you're trying, which is good and is deserving of praise.
100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah. I'm doing well. I was telling Erin I had a lot of realizations in the shower yesterday about where my life is. I have decided that I am in a new season of, like, if my life was a TV show, we're in a new season. I had a
the sun shining.
I went home for the first time in a year and a half.
The age of
we don't
Aquarius.
have the rights. Stop it. Struck work.
Oh yeah, fuck. Sorry. Disregard.
Woo. I went home for the first time in a year and a half, and I was really nervous about not having a relationship with my family because I don't have a very good relationship with them. And I thought I was gonna go and then find nothing had changed and come back and be like, okay, well, now I need to start actually putting more distance and like controlling how often I even interact with them.
Right.
But I went in open heart, open mind, and feel like I really connected with my folks on a human level. I don't think that we're like where I want to be. I don't know that we're ever going to reach that. But enough of a foundation is there. Like, they love me and I love them, that I can build something that might last longer. And my dad started to really open up to me, so I feel good. So that felt like a good, like, an ending of a phase, like the family bullshit. Yeah. Like, and there's still family. Literally got back, already had family bullshit the next day. It was absolutely wild. But
that's always how that goes, though.
Yeah,
you're always like, true. Wow, had a great experience. Fuck.
Yep.
It never fails.
Never. But I am feeling more optimistic about it, I guess. So that's good. And the culmination of a lot of this is going to be that for anyone who's seen me, knows I have a very long hair and have for quite a few years now. And I'm going to just Mulan the shit out of it.
Yeah. Can we do it with a sword?
That's the no. No, we cannot.
He was just like, he had to use his teacher voice. Erin, no. That is not appropriate, friends.
I have had people ask.
That is not safe.
More so I'm like, I want a good haircut.
Oh, that's fair.
So
how short are you gonna go?
Like, I think I'll still keep like floppy up top, but it'll be like not past my ears anymore.
Yeah,
kind of a
like,
situation.
for lack of a better word, like boy haircut.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
shorter.
like, I hate to gender this, but like, you're going like actual like short.
Yeah, and I'm not doing like a bob or anything. I realized, I was like, it just doesn't bring me joy to have long hair anymore. Yeah. Like, it doesn't feel like myself.
Before
anymore.
You leave today, can I braid it for like the first and last time?
Sure, you can. This will be great. I just watched it yesterday,
Perfect.
So it'll be great.
What a stellar turn of events! Because I don't think I've ever braided your hair.
Yeah, it's also like really uneven. Like, you're gonna see, it's like, and it's just damaged. There's a lot of. It's time to go. It's time for a
new
change.
Leaf. That's fine.
Exactly.
Well, also your hair, because you have the sort of like Sokka from
Avatar.
That thing that we're not talking about because it's a struck work.
Oh, I see.
But
you
have
to avoid.
You have this sort of ponytail thing,
but
it's like just really long. So like braiding that style of hair often is a little tricky.
Yeah. I've dabbled in braiding and have been vaguely unsuccessful. I can do kind of just your standard run of the mill braid, but it's a battle.
Love that for you.
Thanks.
Well, I'll do it, and everything will be great.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah. I think that counts as an intro, right?
I would say so.
Lovely. So to get back to the outline, like last time, I thought, it was kind of nice to start with our little shout out to our Ko-Fi supporters. Great. That way we remember them. We have two supporters. Actually, they're both return supporters for us. So shout out to Dion, love of my life.
Thanks, Dion.
What's really fun is that you've never interacted with us on Ko-Fi or anything. You're just like sending us money all the time. And I'm like, I love you. Like, I want to know more about our mysterious benefactor.
It's a real daddy long legs situation.
A daddy long legs?
Are you not familiar with that movie/book, I think?
No.
It's this, I think I'm remembering correctly. It's like this orphan child who gets adopted or is like has a benefactor that she doesn't know, but she sees his shadow as he's like walking away, and he has very long legs, and so she calls him Daddy Long Legs.
Oh, that sounds a little horrifying.
It's a very old story. It's kind of heartwarming.
sidebar, I think we should scare children more.
What?
Back in the day. So this is what you just said about it being old sort of reminded me. I was like, I think having some like safe, scary stories for kids is good.
Yeah.
Because I think we've overly sanitized kids media in some ways and made it like you can't like show anything that's like potentially scary to little kids. But like kids seek that out anyway. And I think there's value in like experiencing scary things that are like developmentally age appropriate. Some things maybe were too much.
Yeah.
But like I think going hard the other direction is also not great.
It's about finding that medium. Yeah, I can see that.
Because like if you watch older like animated films, like there were sections of those that were fucking terrifying.
Horrifying.
Yeah, and like they were only a few minutes and they've been indelibly burned in our brain, but like you kind of like build up a tolerance to scary things, seeing stuff like that. I don't know. Happy October. Okay, moving on. So Dion,
October.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks Dion.
And a shout out to Leo, who I radically mispronounced their name previously in the last episode.
Sorry, Leo.
Yeah, that's my bad. But they donated again, and they were super nice. So thank you. All of that lead up, all of that sort of financial support is going to go to a thing that we can now talk about. Yay!
All right, what is this thing, Erin?
I don't know, Alan. What is the thing?
Well, we're going to a con.
We are going to
another con. One of the bigger ones, one could say. Definitely the biggest we've been to thus far.
One could even say it's the second largest Comic-Con in the country after San Diego.
Oh, yep. So
well, I don't count D20, whatever. I don't count the Disney one because that's bullshit. That's corporate sellout shit.
Right. Right. So, well, we're going to New York.
Yeah!
New York Comic-Con.
We're going to New York
It's
Comic-Con.
happening.
Oh, my God.
This October also, like, literally is... It felt like a blessing just in so many ways. Like, it's our season.
It is the season of the witch. I am thrilled. So I think it's important to know that this is our second year applying to New York Comic Con. We had considered it the year prior, but we kind of like weren't ready yet. And last year we obviously like didn't get in, which is fine. Like they were allowed to choose that. But this year we were like, let's hedge our bets. Like let's apply. Let's put in a couple of applications. Like let's try for some collaborative options, and you know, let's really shoot our shot. Like, let's really try for this and try to manifest it. And we put in 2 applications. One of them was 100% confirmed, and the second is waitlisted.
It's waitlisted?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a straight up no.
No, it's on the wait list. I anticipate
it'll probably be a no.
Yeah,
but
like,
it's wild that it was waitlisted.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
us!
Yeah, we're
Whoa.
so good. So we got that news, and what was really funny is that we were waiting for the email, and literally like a couple hours before that email came through, I was talking to Caitlin, the inimitable Caitlin, and I was like, we're not gonna get it. I just have like this sinking feeling in my gut because one of our, you know, friends and fellow podcasters, Marissa Tandon, who does a whole bunch of stuff, but most notably You Are What You Love, which I've been on twice, and we're trying to get Alan on, and a whole slew and slate of other really cool fandom podcasts. She and I were talking, and she was like, oh, like, you know, I got our email or whatever, and I was like, we didn't get an email yet. Is this like college where it's like some people get the big envelope and some people get the little envelope, and
man,
it's strange.
Stressful.
So I was texting with Caitlin, and I was like, I don't think we got it because we haven't heard yet. And then literally like an hour later I was cleaning, and I came back to my phone, and it had like 15 different messages on it, all from Caitlin being like, how am I the only one who's here alone? Oh my God, we got the email and none of you are fucking answering. And I was like, oh my God, we got it. And so I started screaming, and it was really funny. But I did leave Caitlin to rot for about half an hour, and then we got it, and it was super great. So we are co-hosting a panel, which is in the process of being created, called An Abridged, Unhinged History of Fan Fiction, featuring the Fic List and Burke, a.k.a. Icarus Pendragon, a.k.a. Professor Alpha from TikTok. And we love them and are really, really excited about this. And today we had our planning meeting, and they were like, I didn't think we were going to get this. So now we have to do it, and that's scary. And I was like, it's going to be fine. Like, it's all good. It's going to be Thursday night of New York Comic Con at 7:15 p.m. And that, I believe, is after they open up all the alcohols. So it's going to be a litty titty.
So if you're coming, stop on by, bring a drink. It'll be a great time.
Yeah, there will be a pop quiz, so make sure you do the reading beforehand. It's going to be really fun. So yeah, that's our big
announcement. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that we've been teasing. All right. That's the story. So now I got to prep for that. So that's super fun.
Yep.
Yeah. And I also, before we get into the topic of today's episode, which is now the thing that we can tease about because I haven't said it yet.
You really just love teasing.
It's really fun. We're not going to talk about it. I want to toss in some strike updates since the last time we met, because the AMPTP is playing a little fun game of fuck around and find out, and they fucked around, and boy, did they find out. So there was a meeting called with the leadership of the AMPTP, which is the combined studios, and union leadership, where they basically put forth their usual bullshit counteroffer. And they looked at union leadership, who was saying like, no, we're not going to take this offer because it doesn't address any of the issues that we had. The studios were like, well, then we're going to leak this to the press. And the union leadership was like, okay, like, dude, that's whatever. And they basically, I think the studios were like, we'll do it by the end of the week. And literally within 15 minutes of that meeting ending, the AMPTP had leaked this, the contents of the offer that they had proposed in an article that was basically saying like, look at what the union said no to. Isn't that stupid? Lo and behold, idiots. All of the union membership was like, yeah, this sucks. This isn't what we want. Of course not. And it just made the studios look so bad. And I was like, fuck around, find out.
It's just they have no, like, they're so disconnected from everything. So like, they're not getting it.
No, they absolutely don't get it. And I think they're wildly underestimating the amount of external solidarity that people have too. Like, I think they were banking on public opinion turning a little bit and being like, you know, we're really sick of this strike. Like, why can't these... I want
to see my favorite show to come back.
Right. Why can't these writers be reasonable and accept things? Like, why are the actors being meh, meh, meh? And that just is not the vibe. Like, people in general are like, if we don't get it, shut it down. Like, that's it. Like, we're not playing games anymore. And I say we, but like, you know, like just in general, the vibe is like, no, like, we want the unions to play hardball in many ways. But yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I think that we're in a very, like, in a post Black Lives Matter, Me Too movement. Like, I feel like, so, like, public sentiment is just getting more and more like, eat the rich. Like, fuck people with power. And like, clearly there's not a care for people who are not underrepresented or underpaid or overworked. Like, I think that as a country, we are experiencing a, like, all right, fuck that, we don't care anymore.
Yeah, we're over it. In good news, a district court in DC, a judge said that AI generated material is not eligible for copyright. Good. Which is really good news. Because it puts companies like Disney and Netflix and all these people who want to use AI generated content as the basis moving forward to not pay people. If you can't copyright it, they can't do that.
Right.
So it still has a long way to go in terms of navigating the copyright system, because it's not like one ruling doesn't solve the problem, but that sets a really helpful precedent.
Yeah.
And there are actually the U.S. Copyright Office is currently accepting public comments on AI. So if you're interested, you can Google that and find it and submit some comments about how you feel about AI and whether or not you should be able to copyright stuff generated on AI. You can have your own opinion, but my opinion is that no, it should not be copywritten because AI is stealing. And that was that's the argument, is that if you generate something off of AI, then it is done so based on other people's copywritten work. You can't then copyright the generated work.
Well, specifically, the article's talking, the case was about a artwork,
right?
Like a visual medium. But the judge did also say that they recognize that there's more conversations to be had, specifically when people start to use AI as a tool,
right? And
for writing and so forth. So I am interested to see how it continues to develop. But you're right that this is a very promising first landmark.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that pans out. The WGA sent out a new data table, and I fucking love a data table, so I dropped it in our little outline, where they actually did the math again, and they were like, what does it cost the studios to give us what we're asking for? And they realized that they had actually like overestimated slightly in previous data tables. Every single company, cumulatively, the percentage of their revenues that it would cost to pay the writers what they want, it's less than 1%. I think the most is Netflix. It would cost 0.206% of their total annual revenue to pay the writers what they want. Warner Brothers, Paramount, they're about 0.1%, and then all the rest of them are even less than that. We're talking about 0.08, 0.02, 0.004 of Apple's annual revenue. So that was a fun data table to read. I was like, wow, they're really trying to beat us out of one lousy 1/10 of a cent.
Yes, they are.
Really?
It's infuriating.
It's so infuriating.
Eat the rich.
So clearly about maintaining power at this point. That's the only explanation, because this, like, it's not about the money.
It's not.
There's no way it's about the money.
No.
Yeah. So I thought that data table was sort of interesting. And, you know, I love that WJ was like, actually, let us be even more specific about how infuriating this situation is. 5 major late night hosts have launched a joint podcast to support the staff during the writer's strike, which I have complicated feelings about.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with someone, and we both kind of were like, this isn't your space.
Yeah.
Bruh. And also Spotify, it's like, it's in partnership with Spotify. It's not like they just made it and like put it on an RSS feed like we do. Like, there are kind of multiple ways to do a podcast, and Spotify has its own podcast generated like department.
So they're like getting paid, like this is revenue making. Right.
For Spotify, which is notorious for paying, like, again, tenths of pennies on the dollar for streams in support of a labor strike about getting paid what you're worth. Like, I don't know. I feel like it kind of is like cutting off your nose to spite your face, or like a little bit wolf in sheep's clothing-y. How many different cliches can I pull out of my ass right now?
That was 2.
Yeah. Let me think about another one.
I think the rule of 3.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wish I could help you, but
yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Am I wrong to feel that way? It just feels a little shitty.
No, I think that you're right, and I think that it does come down to the fact that it's a Spotify, like, in partnership with, like, I haven't done any research past what this headline that you have in our notes, but I think that if there had been like a actual, like, let's get together and do something, it should have been on its own RSS feed. It should have been like somewhere that everyone can access, like, freely. I know people can access Spotify freely, but also there's like ads at times. There's something inherently like slimy about going about it this route.
Well, and I also kind of feel like, do we need to really hear these 5 people's opinion about this, or would it have been better to do something in support, like with actual union leadership? Right? Like, you have this platform to force Spotify's hand and do this. They made basically like a short run podcast that was just them on a Zoom call talking about how they felt about the strike, and I was like, this is kind of a waste of this resource. Like, you could have had some of your big name union voices on and had them explain the strike and do that, rather than, or like literally like highlight people's work that can't be done during the strike for like whatever reason. And like, I don't know, it just felt like, do we really need another like 5 white guys' opinions on a podcast again?
I was just reading the article you linked, or like skimming it.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of it is also like the way it's phrased, and like all of like the press release are talking about like, oh, they're getting, this is how they're putting their work out there since they've been on pause, and like they're going to discuss the complexities behind the ongoing Hollywood strikes, which to me always like, so you're just trying to argue both sides, and it just feels like you were saying, like, if this was a podcast in which they then brought on union leadership or like chose to focus on like the issues that are going on, it would be not as tone deaf to the things that are happening.
The way I described it when I was talking about it with someone else was that it feels like the Imagine video from lockdown.
Oh my God. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, absolutely.
That's full. I was like, no one asked for this.
No.
We don't need it.
And it's so arrogant, too.
So out of touch.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, we have great conversations, so we want other people to like be able to listen to that. I was like, why? Like, no.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Pay your writers more.
A little shady. It also, like, their audio quality is bad.
Good.
Like, I was like, you can get a Zoom L8 track sound mixer for $350 on Amazon if you try really hard.
I think you can afford to have decent sound.
Or like go to the fucking Spotify office and use their fucking microphones. Like, holy shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hope it tanks. I hope it's bad.
It just wasn't. It was bad. So just a heads up that exists, and maybe you shouldn't support it. But I don't know. It's up to you again.
Yeah.
SAG is having some ongoing discussions about interim agreements, which I thought was fascinating. It's complicated. I don't know if this is the most update language, because I did pull this about a week ago, but it says basically that, quote, "This means that going forward for productions taking place in the USA, SAG-AFTRA will only grant interim agreements for non-WGA covered projects, and our staff will continue to investigate each application for an interim agreement to ensure only true independent productions are included," end quote. There is a sort of interesting debate, I think, that I've been hearing little grumblings about, is like, does having interim agreements with certain companies help or hurt the cause? Because on the one hand, it's like, it's a work stoppage. Either we stop work or we don't.
Yeah.
And we shut down the industry or we don't. And then on the other hand, I think Adam Driver recently was talking about how embarrassing it is for the studios to like be in a situation where all these little independent production companies can cough up the money and can, you know, create an environment that meets the current strike asks, and they somehow can't. Like, that visual, like that optic is really bad.
Yeah.
But I do really see the frustration too that like, I think some interim agreements were granted to productions that were not having an interim agreement with the WGA, because those are two different unions. And that's the big thing. Like, it wasn't done in conjunction with the WGA. So there's some frustration between like, well, the writers are flat striking. Like, there is no interim agreement for the WGA. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's complicated. I'm kind of interested to see how that pans out.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I am of mixed mind. I can see how I can see both sides, and I do think that it's to the detriment of the unions to like not present a united front, unlike interim agreements. But also, like, I don't know, like I do understand that perspective of like, oh, we're trying to like maybe force studio hands and to like really embarrass them and to really nail this like, oh, this point home of, if you're not willing to fork over the money to like actually pay people,
right,
then other things are going to start to pop like up around you.
Yeah. The part of the fear that I've heard talked about is that if you do that, what they can do, and what some companies have done, is they'll just outsource to another country with the SAG actors. So if you, because the key phrase here is for productions taking place in the USA. So if you are, you know, a writer in the UK, for example, and you have a production that's, you know, filming in the UK, you can still have your big name actors go if you have an interim agreement, but you don't have, like, it works around the WGA, so you're still creating content, and it feels kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of agree that might actually be kind of a shitty thing for one union to do without
the other.
Yeah, without the sort of consent of the other. It seems like that wasn't, it's an ongoing discussion, and I think it needs to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of in the like, shut it down. Either shut it down or don't. Like, yeah. And the other fun part of that is that IATSE is coming up on their contract renewal next year.
I heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's some real fear about. I think there's real fear and real like. I think people are worried that they've been on a de facto strike for a year. At this point, they're going to get to a point where they have to vote, and the leaders, like the union membership, is going to be so decimated by then that they're going to have to take a shit deal. Yeah. So does the interim agreement weaken the position for, you know, other unions moving forward that have to then negotiate? Like, it's just kind of complicated. I mean, there's no easy answer. Yeah. So that's something to keep an eye on, is the interim agreements. Wow. The last piece of updated information related to the strike is that SAG updated their language around non-union podcasters. That's how you say that word.
I'm glad you can say it, being that you are one.
Thanks. I try sometimes. And it was sort of interesting. The SAG requests have like changed a lot. Like, the language on the website has like bopped around a lot, and it's been kind of tricky to keep up with. And you might have noticed that a couple of, I don't know, like, we're still doing our thing where we're not talking about struck works, but I'm not policing my like little like throwaway mentions of struck work as much as I used to. Yeah. Because, quote SAG, many non-member podcasters are eager to show their support of our members during our fight for fair compensation and protections, whether they intend to become SAG-AFTRA members or not, but non-members are not bound by the rules our members must honor. Any efforts these podcasters make to limit their discussion of struck work is much appreciated and is a wonderful and powerful expression of solidarity. End quote. So I think before I was a little militant in my thinking, where I was like, I cannot mention any of the things ever. I cannot say newsies or whatever it is. And now I'm a little bit less. I'm less inclined to be super like policey about it, but I am. I think this is actually a much clearer and more helpful way of framing like why it's helpful for people like us who have no, like, we're not ever going to be SAG-AFTRA,
right?
Or at least I'm not. You might in your acting career. Who the fuck knows? But like, you know, our podcast is never going to be a SAG-AFTRA podcast.
Right.
Like, that's just not what it is. So why does it matter? And like, why are we doing things the way that we're doing them? That's why.
Yeah.
So I thought that language was helpful.
I agree. Yeah, it's very nice to see it written out.
Yeah. Because a lot of people were like, well, I'm never going to be union. What? Like, I'm confused. Like, I want to help, but like, why can't I talk about like Barbie? Like, I don't get it. And I think this is really helpful that it's like, it's just about being helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the strike update. We'll keep you posted as much as we can about more strikey things. But I just thought that
strikey things.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how it all goes moving forward. So, Alan.
Yes, Erin.
What is this episode about? Since, you know, we're not talking about particular fanfics right now.
Well,
what are we talking about instead?
Well, we're still sticking to our theme of like things in fandom. And as we all know, I have a little bit of a little less knowledge than you do on most.
You're a little less
topics.
chronically online than I am.
Chronically online. That's I love that term.
Have you not heard that term before?
I have not.
I stole that from the internet.
Oh.
Because I'm chronically online.
It all makes sense now.
Boy, we've come full circle.
So we are talking about
Goncharov.
Yeah, no clue what this is.
So, yeah, in our last episode, I was like listing ideas for stuff that we could talk about. And I was like, well, we could talk about Goncharov. And Alan said, what? And I went, what? How do you not know what Goncharov is? I'm surprised that you exist on the internet and missed it.
You know, I get, depending on when it happened, there was a couple of years I was not on the internet.
Yeah, this happened like a couple months ago.
Oh.
This was recent.
Where did it happen?
Tumblr.
Oh, I'm not
and
on
TikTok.
Tumblr. Okay.
That's how.
We're on different corners of the internet.
What are you? Do I want to know what you're doing?
No, and I also would not share on this medium. I'm just joking. I see a lot of Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
I see like sketch comedy.
My brain went very far.
Cooking. I see a lot of cooking.
I went very far afield. Are you mostly on YouTube then?
I see a lot of YouTube, but like on TikTok, like those are the things that.
We just have very different TikTok FYPs.
Like FYPs.
I see a lot of cooking in Taylor Swift too, though. Well, I'm more on fandom TikTok than you are, which makes sense because I curated that for considering we're doing a fandom podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, wild. I really thought you were gonna say something like really weird that you were on the internet. I don't know. Because this is my brain. I went to just watch a lot of porn or something.
I mean, also true.
I just read mine.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was like, what are you doing all that time on the internet then? No, that makes more sense. We just have different feeds, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about Goncharov.
I did not know this was that recent, though.
Oh, it's super recent.
Holy shit.
So here's the thing. Yeah. I'm going to do a little bit of an explainer. And then I think actually what's more interesting, because like it's not actually that hard to explain. It's not like a super complicated thing that happened. But I think it's a really interesting look at the fandom cycle.
Yeah.
And how something goes from inception to like meta generation and like content creation to discourse and to like how some things can turn toxic and all this kind of stuff. I think it is a really interesting case study in the fandom cycle because it's based on something that doesn't exist. Goncharov doesn't exist.
What is Goncharov?
Okay.
It's not a term?
Let's explain it.
Yes, please.
Goncharov, from Wikipedia, quote, is an internet meme surrounding a non-existent 1973 gangster film of the same name. Goncharov was imagined by users on Tumblr as a joke, often with the tagline, "The greatest mafia movie ever made." It is usually described as a mafia film set in Naples with the involvement of movie director Martin Scorsese.
Oh my God.
Those discussing the film have devised a fictionalized cast list that includes Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, John Cazale, Gene Hackman, Sybil Shepherd, and Harvey Keitel. I might have said that wrong. Goncharov initially originated when a Tumblr user posted a picture of a pair of knockoff boots that featured details suggesting the film's existence in place of a brand label. It was a costume label, like you've seen those, where it has like the film name on it, like directed Martin Scorsese. It had like this label on it.
Fascinating.
This post was reblogged in August of 2020 with the joking allusion that Goncharov was a real film. This reblog is generally regarded as the genesis of the meme. The meme went viral in November of 2022 after a poster for Goncharov was created and shared online. This sparked an elaborate fiction of its narrative content and production, described in posts on Tumblr and elsewhere as if the film were real. Goncharov has inspired an online fandom, received significant coverage in the media, and garnered responses from notable individuals, including Scorsese, generally playing along with the meme.
Yes, Scorsese!
Yeah. So, Goncharov, it's so funny to me. I'm gonna pull up here. I pulled the, there's a Reddit link in our notes that has the Tumblr posts that were important to it. So initially somebody was like, okay, what's going on? So the post from Zudikun happened, that was circulating for about a year, was these like black pair of boots. And the tag says, the greatest mafia movie ever made. Martin Scorsese presents Goncharov. Comenico Production, a film by whatever. And it has all of these, this thing on it, right? So it looks like a pair of boots. And the original post says, I got these knockoff boots online, and instead of the brand name on the tag, they have the name of an apparently non-existent Martin Scorsese movie. What the fuck? And then Loser Emo responded with a screenshot of a tag that says, this idiot hasn't seen Goncharov. And then after that, it inspired someone to make a poster by Zbub. And that poster is what kicked off the most wild game of telephone on the internet I've ever seen.
Fascinating.
Isn't it?
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So it was really sort of interesting to watch unfold in real time. I think Tumblr, there's a quote that I pulled from a article on Polygon that said, quote, it's Tumblr at peak Tumblr. Users creating the same sort of content they would about a real movie or show and gushing about it in the same way. Only this time the movie is fake and everyone is going along with an inside joke. It's the yes and of social media platforms, one where the latest meme isn't just a copy and paste format or image, but one that taps into a desire to create and share. That is the beauty of Tumblr.
Beautifully said.
What a kind thing to say about the hellscape that is
Tumblr.
Tumblr. It's like, I think that might be a little generous, but okay.
It's like when you're writing a resume and you're like, okay, how do I make this sound good?
Yeah. So people really did basically make up the entire movie, and it was really generative. Like, people would like toss Tumblr memes back and forth, and people were writing these posts as if it was real. So the way that you've seen, like, we've all seen like dumbass like Tumblr posts where it's like, oh my god, I can't believe that this scene happened, like look at they would make like fake gifs out of like old movies, and like it was very iterative, and people would be like sort of playing back and forth on stuff. So it created this whole, like, there's a plot. I didn't listen to the plot because it confused me. But like people have sort of like decided on like a fan cast, obviously, and like all this stuff. But it was played online as if the movie were real. And people like Will Wheaton, Linda Carter got involved. Like all of these, like sort of, it reached the level of like, it very much breached containment. But it was kind of funny. Cecilia from TikTok, who is a mutual of ours at the time, rightfully said like, it was never designed to be contained. So it's not that it breached containment. It's just that like it started on Tumblr and then it sort of evolved into this thing that made it to like Reddit. It made it to like all these other social media things and got added to and added to and added to. Yeah. Initial thoughts?
This is absolutely wild.
Isn't it?
I've just clicked on a few of these links, and one of these articles leads you to a Google Doc. Yeah. A 70-page long Google Doc that's curated by a team of contributors. And it's the plot, and it's done in like scene breakdowns. It's like opening credits, here are the characters, here's what's happening, here are the themes and the locations. It is so involved. This is hysterical. I love the internet.
Yeah, the internet.
Deleted scene.
Yeah, I love the idea that there's deleted scenes. And I just think it's really interesting that fandom can fandom without the thing.
Yes.
Isn't that wild?
Yes. This is so, it's really cool to see. Like, it's like it feels like the fandom mobilized, and they're like, okay, yeah, we can do this. Like, we can, like, so much love and care has gone into this, and truly speechless.
Yeah, I think to talk about the cycle a little bit, it's like when fandom sort of, like, a fandom is in its early phases, right? There's a thing that people are really obsessed over and excited about. And so, you know, the show will start and people will start to, you know, just like make gift sets and like write a little bit of fanfic, and you'll start to sort of get that online community building around the thing. And then often what happens is like the show or the fandom explodes, and it becomes just very like this interconnectedness of fandom starts to be really cool, where people do start like bouncing fan art off of each other. I'm gonna make fan art of your fan fiction, or I'm gonna write fanfic based on your fan art. I'm gonna take your gift set and turn it into like a, you know, fan vid on YouTube or whatever. And that sort of like iterative, like back and forth communal thing, I think, is the backbone of what fandom is like. And for us to then decide, not only are we going to do this, but we're going to do it for a thing that does not exist, is such an interesting case study in like how online, like how things happen so quickly and so deeply online. Because it's like, that's just how we are as fandom people. Like there was discourse, like meta discourse about the film, and like, this film is problematic because blah blah blah, and then people would be like, it's not problematic, it's just from the time, blah blah blah, and like people would have fandom arguments, like you're sort of like, it was almost like cosplaying fandom,
right?
And like it was like RPing fandom, but like with a thing, because I was like, yeah, that's exactly how fandom works. Is like you have this explosion of like generally positive interactions, and then inevitably there's some kind of backlash that happens within the fandom, and being like, your fave is problematic, why, blah blah blah. So people were writing that. I think one of the other things that these articles just sort of like leave out that is important to mention is that there was real life discourse about creating a fake thing, and the yes-anding of it, but also being exclusionary in some ways, and also like frankly just being like annoying to people. And rightfully so. I mean, one of the things that I found an article from the newdaily.com which outlines that like Neil Gaiman was inundated with asks on Tumblr about this, and he was like not interested in participating. And multiple times was like, please leave me alone, like I'm really not interested in this, please stop. And people didn't respect that. And I think that, along with early on, I think actually most people were like okay with it, but there was a strong faction of people online who like refused to tag it as unreality, or like they wouldn't break the joke long enough to reassure people who deal with like dissociation and other like issues with paranoia. Like they wouldn't like, they didn't know when to stop the fun to like be safe with other people. And that was really frustrating for some folks. And that is a very fandom thing too.
I was gonna say
that is a very fandom like underbelly, like toxicity side of things that I think is not often discussed, but was like so clear in this as it unfolded for me.
I think that's a really good thing to bring up, because it is it is very par for the course for fandom to get carried away in its love. Like I feel like all fandom is made up of people who like deeply care and care. What is it, like fiercely? Like they feel emotions very deeply, and so when you love something that much and you're trying to share it and you want everyone to love the thing that you love, you start to lose sight of like where those limits, those boundaries should be. And like, yeah, it's not cool. And I think it's like the same thing that we always say is like, you know, whenever we're talking about like RPF, is like there's a limit, y'all, and we have to recognize when, you know, when we can play with the dolls, but we don't then have to go hound the actors and be like, hey, you also play with me.
Right. And I think one of the things that fandom is not great at doing, and I think that we've lost a little bit, is like respecting when somebody is like, hey, I just really need you to tag this thing, or like I really just need you to like not engage with me on this thing. Like I think sometimes people then take that as an invitation to be like, what, you're not having any fun? Like, God, you're not having any fun. Like, why do you hate on people who are just having a good time?
I dislike that.
I did see a fair amount of that. Like I think maybe I was on a particular side of the experience. I mean, like that might not have been everybody's experience of Goncharov, but I did see a fair number of people being like, I'm trying to blacklist this because I don't want to engage in it. If you tag it, like, please just tag it so I can blacklist it on Tumblr. And some people were like, no, the point is that it's taking over and it's everywhere. And I was like, I don't know. I think fandom has a responsibility to take care of each other. And if somebody says they're not having fun anymore, the game's over. Or at least for them.
Yeah.
Like, leave them alone, dude.
Yeah, you can't force people to partake in the things that you are partaking in. If you're having a great time, congratulations. Go have fun with literally the hundreds of thousands of people that want to have fun with you. That doesn't mean that everyone does. Right. And I think this is what it comes back down to when I was like, I think people in fandom just feel so it feels so personal when someone's like, I don't want to engage with this thing that is bringing you a lot of joy.
Right.
And people are like, oh, so you don't like me. You don't like the thing that like makes me. And like, I have problems with that. And it's not. It's totally okay for people to be like, I get that this is a thing that you like. I can't engage with it. And you don't even have to give reasoning. Just like, I just don't want to. Yeah. And that should be okay too. Right.
And that was sort of the side of it that I was like, wow, okay, so not only are we creating a fake fandom, we are having meta discourse within that fake fandom, within the scope of that fandom. We are having meta discourse about the fake thing that we've made. Like, wow, okay.
Just saying that 5 times really fast.
And it was just a really fascinating thing to watch unfold. And I think, like, I don't think it was a bad thing. I think it was sort of fun overall. And like, it was just sort of like a thing that a lot of the internet had a good time with. And it was very Tumblr.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to talk about our collective responsibility to not be dickbags on the internet
to
each other.
It's not that hard.
It seemed like some people really didn't get that. And I think I was like, oh, this is a really good way to sort of like encapsulate that attitude. You can really see it because it's very clearly not about genuine love for the thing.
Right, exactly. The thing doesn't exist. Yeah.
It's about sort of like pressuring people to enjoy the thing that you enjoy and not respecting boundaries, which I thought was kind of shitty.
Yeah, wow. Wow. I don't know what I expected when I sat at this table. It wasn't that.
It. Yeah.
I'm glad. Wow. I think I'm going to go home and I'm going to do a lot of research, a lot of reading. Because I am genuinely like, it is interesting to be in the space where I'm like, genuinely, I'm kind of moved that this is a thing that could happen. Like that collectively the internet was like, yes and like literally like they just went with the joke, and so many people put their talent and their time to like make this like such an intricate detailed thing, and it's so cool. But also, yes, it is kind of shitty that other people were just like trying to force this into other people's like spheres who had no interest in it. Like
I think it's bonkers that as of the 30th of August, which was a couple of days ago when I was making this research document, there were 775 fan fiction under the tag Goncharov 1973 directed Martin Scorsese - Beelzebub.
That's hysterical.
Like, that to me, like, that is so telling. Like, to me, like, when something is on, I think that's more fanfics than James Cameron's Avatar. Or it should be anyway. But like, man, to all that, like, to have a whole sort of like internet moment where the nature of fandom like was just sort of like on display, and like people were willing to engage in it fun, like the people who were enjoying it like were actually like really like having a good time. And I thought it was really Linda Carter, who was the original Wonder Woman. Saw that. She was like, I think she posted something like, I was offered Goncharov and turned it down or something. Like she's somehow engaged because she's like Tumblr queen.
She posted a picture of her and Harry Winkler and captioned it, "Me and the Fonz at the premiere of Goncharov, 1973 at Grauman's Chinese Theater." Hysterical.
Like, Linda Carter is for the girlies. Like, she gets it.
Yeah.
Like, she's willing to like be playful on Tumblr in ways that are like super fun. So I feel like that was super cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think Will Wheaton talked about it in like a Tumblr post and stuff, and just like that aspect of sort of being able to be playful with the people who make things and sort of be like poking a little bit of fun, like, wow. As sort of the way that things go, like that was cute. Like, that was really fun. I bet Linda Carter saw that and was like, ha ha ha, had a good little chuckle.
Yeah, it's so cute.
As she should.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was, I just thought that was fascinating.
It is thought you would such an interesting topic. Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah, and it's not that long of a story.
Yeah, I really, well done. That was so good.
Yeah, we're under an hour.
Go us.
Yeah, for the first time in 5 years.
That's not true. We've had at least one 45-minute episode somewhere, or less, under an hour. Yeah. 45 is too optimistic.
Yeah. Somewhere we're at 55, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Editing this is going to be baller.
Oh, right. I wonder how much you're going to lose just in a couple of minutes.
I probably just won't edit it very much.
I love that for you. Perfect.
But yeah, that's Goncharov.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for
the Gonch, as some people would say.
I hated that.
You're like, you've ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Now
I'm gonna blacklist
I'm gonna say
it.
no, thank you. Yes, and no.
Oh man. Well, I guess that's our episode this time around.
I suppose so. If you're interested in giving us a topic to talk about, if there's something in the fandom sphere that you want to hear us goofballs try to explain to each other, then join us in our Discord, the Fic List on Discord. It is a 18+ Discord server where we talk about things like fandom and being horny about our faves, and just sort of generally. I will occasionally drop in some like Fic List lore ahead of time, so like, you know, the Discord will find out about New York Comic Con like slightly ahead of everybody else.
Sorry, but you should join.
Yeah, if you were there, then you would also know about New York Comic Con a little bit ahead of everyone else. You also get photos of like my cat, so that's exciting. Yeah, there's lots of fun chat things happening there. We are on all of the things, all of the platforms to listen to.
Yes.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
SoundCloud. Audible?
Yeah, sure. Audible.
Sure.
Stitcher went out of business.
I saw that. By Stitcher.
By Stitcher.
Wow, we've outlasted Stitcher.
We did outlast Stitcher. We gotta maybe one day we'll talk about Mitch McConnell.
Oh man.
That man. I try not, for my own cosmic safety, I try not to wish ill on people.
Yeah.
However, he's gone.
He's not looking great.
He's not looking great.
Yeah, he's looked better.
Yeah. Do you remember when his like hand turned purple and everyone was like,
yes,
he touched the Horcrux or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we're in the last stages of his Horcruxes being destroyed.
Yeah, it does seem to feel that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't have struck work.
Oh yeah. So we'll see how that goes. So we're gonna all have to figure out what our, we have to outlive blank thing that we don't like. We have to pick our new one.
Yeah. You know what? I think there's a surplus. We won't. It
We have
won't be
options.
hard.
It was just so fun with Mitch. I wonder
that's
what
true.
song will trend when he finally goes.
That's a great question.
I mean, the Crabs, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Margaret Thatcher was The Bitch Is Dead.
Mm.
So, like, that one's been taken.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because Mitch and Bitch is, like, an easy joke.
Easy switch, yeah.
If you have an idea, drop it in the Fic List Discord, and we will work together to make it viral.
Hysterical. I love this.
So in addition to Discord, we are on TikTok.
Yep.
Where I have shooted my shot with a particular Squishables company. We don't know anything more about that yet, but we'll keep you posted.
Yep.
But we're friends with Squishables now. Hi, buddy.
Hi, Squishables.
Hey, friend. Yeah, no, that was like super cool. That they interacted with our content. I was like, We are, so yeah, we're on TikTok. We're hanging on to Twitter. I haven't posted there though. I've liked other people's
down.
Yeah, I've liked other people's posts, but I don't post there anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't even post our most recent episode on. Maybe I should have.
Maybe
that was a mistake.
Well, live and you learn.
Yeah, well, we're on Tumblr, which I feel like Tumblr is like somehow the last girl standing.
Love her.
Although again, they're changing the fucking format of Tumblr. We talked about this last episode, and it hasn't gone back, and they keep fucking around with it. And
God,
I'm like,
I hate that. I hate
stop.
that. Leave it alone.
Yeah, like the reason people are still there is that it like is a hell site.
You remember the only time I've ever been so grateful for a fucking update to like a user interface was on Tumblr when they moved the reblog button down to the bottom of posts.
Right. So smart.
That was life-changing. Right. Really and truly. Nothing is worse than like scrolling down on a really long Tumblr post and then be like, I want to reblog that. Oh, hang on, let me just scroll back up and then reblog and then scroll back down.
I just didn't reblog things.
Yeah, it was so hard. They made it really difficult. But then that was a change that was good.
Right.
Stop changing it. Nothing needs to change.
You're like, after that, you peaked.
Exactly. You're done.
Stop. It was perfect. Yeah. No, there's like a whole like free. It's a thing.
God, it's just all of these social media platforms trying to copy each other once a new one entered the sphere. So like, what am I thinking of? Like when Instagram was a thing, the stories. when Instagram was introduced, then you started getting stories on Facebook and Instagram, and and now Snapchat is kind of like, people kind of use it mostly for nudes. Power to you, that's fine.
Yeah.
And now
those are not as private as you think, though, so just be really careful with that. Okay,
exactly.
Like, actually, PSA, let me mom friend you a little bit. If it's on the internet, it's forever. You cannot guarantee that won't go anywhere because someone screenshot it. You can do all kinds of stuff. So if you're gonna send nudes, do so responsibly and be really, really sure that you're okay with potential repercussions on that. Okay.
That's been a Fic List PSA.
Thank you.
And then when TikTok came into the scene, then you started seeing Instagram Reels and Facebook. Well, Facebook and Instagram have started to just cross-platform, which is really obnoxious in my opinion. But
yeah, well, Facebook bought Instagram.
Yeah,
or
so
they merged
by the
or something.
Company,
yeah, and Facebook also owns WhatsApp.
I don't use it.
The texting thing. And a lot of other apps. Corporate monopolies.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
So you're allowed to sing, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
It wasn't from a struck work. We don't have the rights for it.
We don't have copyright for it.
But it wasn't struck.
You butthead.
Me.
It's fine. Yeah, so we're on Tumblr. You should definitely go to Tumblr.
Yeah.
And we have
inimitable Caitlin. Thanks, Caitlin.
Who will be part of our panel.
Yes.
So if you are a particular fan of Caitlin, as you should be, because she's great, then come meet us at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, for all you Caitlin heads.
Yeah. What's the Caitlin fandom name?
Yeah. Let's think.
Because I tried to get Fic List fam as a thing, and that just is not a thing. I tried to make Fetch happen, and Fetch just isn't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great question. We'll workshop.
I love that both of us were like blank.
Caitlin. No, nothing.
We got
empty.
a smooth brain. I love TikTok. And yeah, if you need to find us anywhere, all of our links are on theficlist.com because we have a website, which is about to renew, by the way. So if you were thinking about sending a Ko-Fi donation, now would be a great time.
That's really unfortunate. We just, what was it, our hosting on SoundCloud just renewed last month, and then the Fic List, that's hysterical.
Yeah,
It'll be fine.
Fucked that up timing-wise.
It's fine.
I've spaced that out. Erin. Oh, well, I didn't. That's not what happened.
Good times.
Yep. Good times were had by all, except my wallet. Yeah. Our wallet. Seize the means of production. Collectivize the money.
Oh man, we're really running off the rails.
Really, truly. That like hour and a half that we had when we first started off, like completely just like we're functionally shit faced without having had any alcohol.
It's really what it is. It's what it feels like. I feel like I'm a little tipsy, like I'm just like talking.
It was a mistake. I do have tequila.
Oh, great. Should we do a little shot before we say goodbye?
Yeah, why not? It's tequila from Mai, who is a dear friend of the podcast.
Oh, yes.
They gave it to us as they gave us both bottles of tequila at the last con we went to, but we couldn't bring it in because we were at a con. So they were like, let's go back to the hotel and drop this off. So yeah, it's Mexican tequila.
Yes, authentic
Seems
Mexican
really
tequila.
Good. I haven't opened mine yet.
Me neither. I'm saving it.
I also have all of the Mexican candies that they gave me.
Oh, I gobbled those up.
I
like
did
a little
not.
monster.
Should we do an Erin tries Mexican candy for the first time? Something. It's really hard on an audio medium.
Yeah, you won't get any of it. It might be a great TikTok.
That could be true.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, now you're just getting our brainstorming.
Yeah. This is just how we talk to each other.
It's
We're
true.
like, what if we did this thing? And then it doesn't happen. All right, cool. This has been fun.
Thanks for
Love
tuning
you.
in.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.